September 1st, 1939, Berlin, Germany. Dawn breaks under a low ceiling of cloud, the air heavy with rain and anticipation. In the Reich Aviation Ministry, telephones begin to ring in tight, nervous bursts. Map lamps glow over Poland. Red pins wait to be moved. Hermann Göring stands apart from the younger officers, his broad frame filling the space as if the room has to work around him. His uniform strains at the seams, medals catching the light with a theatrical gleam. Some men avoid looking directly at him. Others do not bother to hide their smirks. Behind his back, they call him lazy, bloated, a relic of the last war who has eaten too well and planned too little. Göring hears none of it. Or perhaps he hears everything and chooses silence. Outside, the first engines of the Luftwaffe roar to life. Hundreds of aircraft line their runways across Germany. Messerschmitt fighters, Stuka dive bombers, Heinkel bombers loaded with steel and fire. They are not waiting for orders from the front. They are waiting for a plan written months ago in offices like this one. Under Göring's authority, shaped by his vision of modern war, at 4:45 a.m., the first bombs fall on Polish airfields. Pilots later say it feels like flying into a script already written. Every target appears exactly where intelligence predicted. Hangars erupt. Fuel dumps vanish in columns of black smoke. Polish aircraft burn on the ground before most pilots can reach them. Within hours, an entire air force is crippled, not by chance or courage, but by timing and coordination so precise it feels unreal. Back in Berlin, Göring receives the first reports. He does not cheer. He does not clap. He nods once, slowly, like a man confirming what he already knew. Years earlier, many had doubted him. He was too fat to understand speed, they said. Too indulgent to grasp discipline. A general who preferred silk robes and hunting lodges could not possibly design a machine of modern destruction. But Göring had studied something they had not. He understood that wars were no longer won by trenches alone. They were won by air superiority, by fear from above. By paralysis before resistance could even form. Poland was only the opening act. Weeks later, in the skies over France and the Low Countries, the pattern repeats. While enemy generals prepare for a war like 1918, Göring's Luftwaffe tears open the future. Bombers strike bridges at dawn. Fighters swarm roads clogged with retreating troops. Communication lines collapse. Commanders lose contact with entire divisions. Cities choke under air raid sirens that never seem to stop. French officers, watching their defenses crumble, cannot understand how it is happening so fast. They search for daring aces, for bold battlefield commanders. Instead, they find something worse. A system, a design, a plan that anticipated their reactions before they made them. The mocking stops in cafes and bunkers. Allied soldiers begin to whisper his name with anger and confusion. Göring, the fat general who never fires a shot. The man who sits behind desks while others die. Yet it is his decisions that decide when bridges fall, when supply columns vanish, when entire units are stranded without air cover. London watches closely. British intelligence intercepts fragments of Luftwaffe planning and realizes the scale of what they face. This is not random bombing. This is choreography. Aircraft movements synchronized like clockwork. Fighter escorts timed to the minute. Bombing runs aligned with ground offensives so tightly that resistance collapses before it can solidify. And always, somewhere far from the smoke and screams, Göring signs orders with a steady hand. He enjoys the image he projects. The larger-than-life uniform, the confidence, the certainty. But beneath it is something colder. A belief that war can be engineered. That men and machines, when arranged correctly, will produce inevitable outcomes. For now, the results support him. France collapses in weeks. Europe stares in disbelief. Newspapers across the world print photographs of Göring, round-faced and smiling, medals heavy on his chest. Some still laugh. Others no longer dare, because cities are burning. From Warsaw to Rotterdam, from the fields of Belgium to the outskirts of Paris, the sky itself has become a weapon. Thousands are dead. Millions are shaken. And the man responsible has not stepped onto a battlefield once. This is the moment when the world begins to understand a terrifying truth. The most dangerous men in modern war do not always carry rifles. Some carry maps. Some carry plans. And some, like Hermann Göring, carry both countenance in their calculations. May 10th, 1940. Dawn breaks over the Ardennes forest, a place French commanders believed was impassable for a modern army. The air is cool, quiet, almost peaceful. Then the sky begins to move. High above the trees, German aircraft slice through the morning clouds. Messerschmitt Bf 109 fighters fan out first, hunting for enemy planes that never arrive in time. Minutes later, the bombers follow, engines droning with mechanical certainty. Below them, French and British units are still repositioning, still waiting for orders that will never reach them. This is not chance. This is timing. Weeks earlier, Göring's planners had studied aerial photographs, weather patterns, radio intercepts, even traffic flow on rural roads. They mapped not only where the enemy was, but where the enemy would be slow, where hesitation would cost minutes, where minutes would cost lives. When the bombs fall, they do not fall everywhere. They fall on bridges at exact choke points, on rail yards just as trains arrive, on headquarters buildings at the hour commanders are most likely to be inside. Communications collapse almost instantly. Officers shout into dead radios. Messengers are sent on motorcycles that never return. French troops look up and feel something new. It is not just fear of death. It is the sense that the war is already lost somewhere far above them. In Germany, Göring follows the reports with a hunter's patience. He knows the criticism still exists, that some generals believe air power is a supporting tool, not the spine of a campaign. He intends to prove them wrong with results so overwhelming they cannot be argued with. Over Dunkirk, British soldiers retreat toward the sea. Columns of men stretch for miles along the coast. From the air, they are painfully exposed. Luftwaffe bombers dive again and again, turning beaches into chaos. Ships burn. Smoke rolls across the water so thick it blots out the sun. British pilots fight back desperately, flying multiple sorties a day. The Royal Air Force bleeds for every interception. Yet even as Göring's aircraft take losses, the pressure never fully lifts. The goal is not total annihilation. The goal is paralysis, delay, terror. Backrooms in London buzz with grim discussion. Intelligence officers note something unsettling. Luftwaffe attacks are not reckless. They come in waves, timed around refueling cycles and pilot fatigue. Göring is not throwing planes at the enemy. He is managing a system designed to exhaust resistance. To the civilians beneath the bombs, the distinction means nothing. Rotterdam learns that lesson brutally. On May 14, 1940, negotiations for surrender are still underway when German bombers appear overhead. Confusion ripples through both sides. Signals are missed. Orders delayed. Then the city explodes. Entire blocks vanish in firestorms. The harbor becomes a graveyard of twisted metal. Nearly 1,000 civilians are killed in minutes. The message is unmistakable. Resistance will not be negotiated. It will be erased. Across Europe, enemy commanders now speak Göring's name with open hatred. They blame him for civilian deaths, for cities shattered, for a war that no longer respects front lines. He does not deny it. In private, he argues that terror shortens wars, that fear saves German lives by breaking enemy will faster. His confidence swells with each victory. France collapses. The Netherlands surrenders. Belgium falls. Göring stands at ceremonies, smiling broadly, uniform tailored to exaggerate his size and importance. Cameras love him. He understands spectacle as well as strategy, but something subtle begins to shift. British resistance does not break. Evacuation at Dunkirk succeeds against expectations. Fighter command survives. And across the Channel, a new battle forms in the minds of planners on both sides. The Battle of Britain will not be about armies on roads. It will be about endurance, about radar stations and airfields, about who controls the sky day after day. Göring believes this is where he will deliver the final blow. He underestimates one thing. The enemy is learning from him. British commanders study his patterns. They note the timing of raids, the rotation of squadrons. They understand now that Göring's strength is also his weakness. A system can be predicted. A plan can be countered. Still, the bombing begins. London burns. Sirens wail night after night. Civilians sleep in tunnels. Children are sent away from cities. Fires glow red against the clouds, visible for miles. Göring promises Hitler that Britain will be crushed from the air alone. That invasion will be unnecessary. Yet for the first time, the killing power of his planning meets resistance that adapts instead of collapses. And while thousands have already died because of his designs, the limits of planning without restraint are about to reveal themselves. September 7th, 1940. London, England. Night falls early under a bruised sky, the kind that presses down on the city like a held breath. Searchlights stab upward, white fingers clawing at the clouds. Somewhere above them, engines growl. The bombing begins just after sunset. German Heinkel and Dornier bombers arrive in waves, their silhouettes barely visible against the darkness. Explosions ripple through the East End. Factories ignite. Rows of houses collapse inward as if folded by invisible hands. Fire crews race from one blaze to another, knowing they will never catch up. This is Göring's answer to British defiance. If the Royal Air Force cannot be destroyed in the air, then Britain itself will be broken on the ground from Berlin. Göring studies maps of London marked with impact zones. He believes morale is the final lever. Break the civilian population, and the government will fold. It is a theory rooted in logic, reinforced by earlier victories. Cities have surrendered before. Why not now? But London does not surrender. Night after night, the bombers come. And night after night, the city endures. Underground stations fill with families huddled on platforms. Musicians play violins in the dark. Children sleep through explosions they should never have heard. Something stubborn hardens in the population. Something Göring did not plan for. Above the city, British night fighters begin to adapt. Radar stations track incoming raids earlier. Anti-aircraft guns learn the rhythm of German formations. Losses mount quietly. Göring notices the numbers, but he dismisses them as acceptable. He has always believed air power is about pressure, not perfection. Then Hitler interferes. Strategic focus shifts. Airfields are hit less. Fighter bases get breathing room. Göring supports the decision, confident that terror bombing will finish the job faster. It is a gamble dressed as certainty. Meanwhile, British aircraft factories continue to operate, sometimes in buildings bombed the night before. Pilots are trained faster. Squadrons rotate. The system Göring built is now mirrored by an enemy system designed to absorb punishment and keep flying by October. The Luftwaffe has not won the sky. For the first time since the war began, Göring's planning has failed to deliver total collapse. Britain still stands. Invasion plans are quietly shelved. The fat general who promised victory from the air alone must explain why it did not happen. The mocking returns. But now it comes from inside the German high command. Other generals whisper that Göring overreached, that he believed his own myth, that his love for spectacle blinded him to limits. Göring responds with bluster, with anger, with louder promises. He demands more aircraft, more resources, more trust. Then the war expands east. June 22nd, 1941, Operation Barbarossa begins. German forces surge into the Soviet Union, and once again, Göring's Luftwaffe plays a decisive opening role. Soviet airfields are smashed. Thousands of aircraft are destroyed on the ground. Entire regions fall into chaos within days. It feels like redemption, but the scale is different now. Distances are vast. Supply lines stretch thin. Weather turns brutal. The Luftwaffe bleeds aircraft faster than factories can replace them. Göring assures Hitler that the air war is under control, that production will meet demand, that the Soviet Union will collapse before winter. It does not, as months drag on. Göring's planning becomes increasingly detached from reality. Nowhere is this clearer than in the winter of 1942, a German army is surrounded, freezing, starving, desperate for supplies. Göring makes a promise. He tells Hitler the Luftwaffe can supply the trapped 6th Army by air, hundreds of tons per day. Food, fuel, ammunition. He speaks with absolute confidence, the same confidence that once conquered Western Europe. But this time, the math is fantasy. Aircraft are lost to weather, to Soviet fighters, to anti-aircraft fire. Runways freeze. Pilots die. Supplies fall far short of what is needed. Soldiers on the ground wait for planes that never arrive, clinging to Göring's promise as hope turns into betrayal. When the 6th Army finally collapses, over 200,000 men are dead or captured. The scale of the disaster is unimaginable, and it is tied directly to planning. Not the absence of it, the arrogance of it. The general, who once killed thousands through brilliant coordination, has now doomed hundreds of thousands through refusal to accept limits. The myth fractures. February 2nd, 1943. Stalingrad is silent. Snow drifts through ruined streets where engines once roared and orders once echoed. The 6th Army is gone. What remains are frozen bodies, abandoned weapons, and the knowledge that an entire force was sacrificed to a promise that could never be kept in Berlin. Göring feels the ground shift beneath him. He is no longer the untouchable architect of victory. Hitler's trust cools. Meetings become colder. Other commanders speak more freely now, pointing to numbers, to fuel shortages, to lost aircraft that Göring once insisted were replaceable. The fat general who sold certainty is forced to confront consequences. Yet even as his influence wanes, the damage of his earlier planning continues to ripple outward. Cities across Europe still bear the scars of Luftwaffe raids designed under his command. Families mourn losses caused by decisions made far from the sound of gunfire. Göring did not pull triggers, but the bodies remain just the same. Allied bombing campaigns now turn the logic of air power back on Germany. Hamburg burns in firestorms eerily similar to those Göring once unleashed elsewhere. Berlin itself shakes under explosions. Civilians crowd into shelters, hearing the same sirens their enemies once heard. The sky has learned no loyalty. Göring tries to respond with words instead of results. He boasts of miracle weapons. He promises fighter jets that will change the war. He demands loyalty, even as the Luftwaffe struggles to protect German cities from relentless Allied raids. His earlier genius has hardened into denial. By 1944, his role is largely ceremonial. The man once feared for his planning now watches events he can no longer shape. Younger officers bypass him. Production falls behind. Fuel is scarce. The Luftwaffe that once dominated Europe is a shadow of itself. When the war ends, Göring is captured alive. No grand final stand. No battlefield death. He is brought before a court and forced to confront his legacy not as a general, but as a man. The evidence is laid out in documents, photographs, and testimony. Planning charts become proof of destruction at Nuremberg. He listens as prosecutors describe cities erased, civilians killed, wars accelerated by terror from the air. He argues, he deflects. He insists he was a soldier following orders, a strategist doing his duty. But the world has seen enough. The irony is impossible to ignore. A man once mocked for his body built a machine that crushed nations. A man who believed war could be engineered learned that planning without restraint breeds catastrophe. His size, once a joke, becomes a symbol, not of strength, but of excess, of ambitions swollen beyond reality. Hermann Göring never fired a shot in the battles that defined him, yet his fingerprints are on countless graves across 2 continents. His story is a warning written in smoke and ruins. That intellect, divorced from humanity, can kill as efficiently as any weapon. That the dead do not care whether the hand that doomed them held a rifle or a pen. The laughter that once followed him fades into history, replaced by something heavier: accountability.